All right, so this is the post-fight reaction to Canelo Alvarez versus Jaime Mungia, and as expected, I mean, is anybody surprised by the outcome? Because this is the type of guys Canelo likes to fight. But however, Jaime Mungia did unpack some vulnerabilities with Canelo that I think somebody like David Benavidez could exploit. Jaime Mungia is very sloppy, but somebody like David Benavidez that has like what you would call great punch placement, he would bother Canelo. Now, at the end of the day, the Canelo D riders probably will show up eventually and say I'm hating, which I'm trying to figure out why I'm hating. That makes no kind of sense. But Canelo's response to fighting David Benavidez is just hilarious. Now, can you imagine if somebody said what Canelo said? Oh, I'm Mexican. I could do what I want. If you say I'm black, I could do what I want. It just caused an uproar. Not only do you have people that ain't black having something to say, you have people that are black. Like I say, black people are just this new generation of black people. If some of our ancestors seen what became bust, they would just be in disgust. They would probably want to puke. If Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and guys like that, Huey P. Newton seen what became white people, they would probably throw up. They probably would want to pass over. But nevertheless, and let's talk about the scoring. The fight was a little bit closer than what the judges had it and what the analysts had it. I had it 7-5 for Canelo. Jaime Mugia won the first 3 rounds, and I gave him like I think the eighth and the ninth because he outworked Canelo. But Canelo pretty much closed out the show. Landed nice counters, landed shots on the top of the head, landed body shots. He landed some uppercuts that bothered Jaime Mugia, but Canelo got hit a lot in this fight. If somebody that's more concise and more disciplined, they can beat Canelo. If you disciplined, you can beat Canelo. Canelo's already been beaten before, but I've seen enough to know that David Benavidez will beat Canelo if they fight. Now, if they ever fight and Canelo wins, hey, I'll come back. If as long as it ain't no funny business, as long as it ain't no funny business. But the scoring was kind of questionable. Now, one judge had it right. It looked like he gave it. He had it. Looked like he had it 7-5 for Canelo, and that's how I had it. I didn't think Canelo just blew Jaime Mugia out like they was making it. Jaime Mugia was landing some nice combinations. The problem is he was getting hit with counters because he didn't know how to, you know what I'm saying? He didn't know how to slip. He didn't know how to counter Canelo. He basically would come in throwing some nice body shots, hard combinations. But the problem is he's not a, you know what I'm saying? He's not a 1-2 guy. He just throws combinations and hopes and tries to overwhelm you. Sometimes you have to have punch placement. Now that's something that Canelo does have. Canelo is not a dude that's going to throw a whole bunch of punches. He's a counter puncher. He will come forward at times, but he's calculated with the type of punches that he throws. And I think to a certain degree, that's going to be his downfall if he fights David Benavidez. Because I just think David Benavidez is going to overwhelm Canelo with activity. And I think that's how David Benavidez is going to defeat Canelo if they fight. But Canelo is basically saying, well, if the money's right, then this got to happen and that'll happen. So basically, Canelo is just using money as a hurdle, you know, as the sticking point to where he can't get in the ring with David Benavidez. And we all see it. I know it's a lot of, I know it's a lot of Canelo nut huggers out here, but I'm not one of them. At the end of the day, this was just another textbook Canelo opponent. And if he chooses to fight, listen, we all know that Canelo's next opponent will either be Edgar Berlanga or possibly Jermall Charlo. He's not fighting David Benavidez next. And Canelo saying that he's the best fighter on the planet, bullshit. The best fighter on the planet is Terrence Bud Crawford. I'm gonna speak on Tank versus Frank later on because I got something to say. Tank is Tank is really uneducated and ignorant, and it's just time to just say it about Tank. He just says stuff that just has you scratching your head, and then he wants to play the, by saying his upbringing makes him more hood or blacker than somebody else. But I'll talk about that later on. I'll talk about that later on. Right now, I'm gonna stick to basically Canelo defeating Jaime Mungia. As far as Jaime Mungia goes, Jaime Mungia, he got dropped, he got back up, he continued to fight. But you saw his defensive deficiencies. We all knew that Jaime Mungia was defensively challenged. There is nobody, and when I say there is nobody on God's green earth that thought Canelo was going to lose to Jaime Mungia. Nobody. Well, that's what they want you to believe, because they want to continue to elevate Canelo and make him better than what he really is. Because Canelo had a lot of struggles in that fight. It wasn't a blowout, and for them to sit up there and try to, and that's the problem with analysts, and this is why you got guys like me that go to these fights and tell it how it is. It was a closer fight than what you know the analysts will make you believe. I had it 7-5 for Canelo. Well, I don't think Canelo. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think Canelo can stun you and hurt you, but Canelo has been struggling to finish people anyway. And ever since Canelo got popped, I think Canelo has only had one knockout since he's got popped, maybe two at the most. He's been going the distance with people, and Canelo is starting to get long in the tooth. Just like when he beat, just like when he beat Charlo, a blown up junior middleweight, and he says nobody beats this version of Canelo. Well, I mean, you made a dude basically come in there looking like flubber. Charlo was clearly not in shape, and he just came there to get the paycheck. That's it. That's all. Yeah, that was messed up that he banned Marquez and who was the other guy he banned? I know he banned Marquez and he banned Eric Morales. Well, that's because they've been critical of him. They've been critical of him, and to be honest with you, Canelo should have thick enough skin to where he should just let him fight. But that's what happens when you do this boxing stuff. A lot of these boxers and promoters, they get very emotional. I don't like to use that terminology in their feelings, because that's what bitches say. Somebody tried to text me saying that, but I had to remind him, dude, you in your 40s, dude. Come on, man, stop it, bro. But nevertheless, I just felt the fight was a little bit closer, but I just saw a lot of things that somebody like David Benavidez could exploit. If Canelo fought David Benavidez, of course he's going to have his moments. I don't think David Benavidez is going to win every round, but I just think he'll be able to outwork Canelo. I just think Canelo just wouldn't be able to keep up with David Benavidez's work rate. The thing is with David Benavidez, he can go to the body. He can throw a jab. He can throw combinations. He can punch through the guards. He can hit you with a body shot. He can he could do everything that Canelo could do, except he's faster than Canelo. Canelo Canelo would really have to time himself. He would have to pace himself, and he would have to try to counter David Benavidez or try to trick him into walking into something and possibly hurt him and stop. But the problem is David Benavidez is going to be overwhelming him, is going to be trying to tornado him. He's going to try to blitz Canelo. So while Canelo trying to set up a shot, trying to set up a shot or a counter, he may find himself getting hit with 2 and 3 punch combinations. Because Canelo, if he fights David Benavidez is going to have Canelo doing a lot of thinking, and that's just basically it. But we may never know, because David Benavidez is about to campaign at basically 170, 175. So I just think that fight is out of the question. I don't think Canelo was going to try his hand at 175 again. I think he came to the conclusion that that weight division is too much for him. Well, that's cap. We both know, we all know that Canelo ain't beating David Benavidez and Jaime Mungia in the same night. He needs to stop it. First, he said he'd fight David Benavidez. Then he turns right back around and said, "Oh well, if the money is right, like, listen, they're not gonna come up with no 200 million for Canelo to fight David Benavidez, because if they did, that'll be the only fight that they have on the card, because they wouldn't be able to pay anybody else. So, like I said before, you basically gonna have to, and even if you tried to put people on the undercard, basically you talking about having a $250 million undercard or something. So you basically spending like like for real. I already did the numbers. And Canelo just need to stop it. Yeah, there's probably 50, 60 million out there for him to fight David Benavidez, but this 150, 200 million, dude, stop it, man. Dude, stop it. Stop it, man. Stop insulting people's intelligence. But boxing, so far, boxing has been trying to insult people's intelligence basically for the last couple of days in regards to, you know, Ryan Garcia and his positive drug test. The only person that's been telling it how it is Tim Bradley. He's been the only one that's been keeping it 100. All these other people trying to dance around it. And like I said, I'm a really like speak on Tank how ignorant he is. Like, what part Tank don't understand that Eddie Hearn doesn't promote Ryan Garcia. Now, Oscar De La Hoya already issued a cease and desist warning to Canelo about calling him a thief. All this kind of, Eddie Hearn got a lot. Eddie Hearn can come after Tank and make his life miserable. So Tank, but at the end of the day, Tank sounded weak as hell anyway. Caping for Ryan Garcia. Tank looked real weak. It was embarrassing to see Tank basically trying to make excuses for Ryan Garcia. And then as far as Floyd Mayweather and Shakur Stevenson shouldn't trust Floyd Mayweather no further than he could throw him. I wouldn't let Floyd Mayweather near me. And that's just the bottom line. But I laughed at Canelo when Canelo said, "I'm the best fighter on the planet." And I just had to laugh. Bro, stop it. There was question, were you ever pound for pound number one best fighter on the planet? Because, like I said, what trips me out, the same way people love to dissect Terrence Crawford's resume, and particularly the people that look like him, trying to compare it to Errol Spence. And I got to say this as far as the PBC goes. If the PBC is so good, how come every time they fight outside of the PBC banner, they get whooped on? You just had two PBC fighters fight on the Golden Boy card. You had Bartholomew fight. He got beat by Jose Ramirez. And then Delome got knocked out in the first round by Virgil Ortiz. But they supposed to be the thoroughbreds. They supposed to be so good. And these are all the people linked with Al Heyman that signed with the PBC that, Errol Spence fought. So it's just kind of laughable when you hear people talk like this. And I'm giving people real ammo. I'm giving people honest ammo. Which I see a lot of people use my stuff, but it's the truth. If these PBC fighters are so damn good, how come every time they fight outside the PBC banner, they get whooped? They get whooped. Listen, man, at the end of the day, we know it's a double standard. Canelo said, "I'm Mexican, I can do what I want." Like I said, if a dude said, "I'm black, I can do what I want," everybody be, you can't do stuff like that. You're race baiting. This is tribalism. You would get that more from the coon channels than you would the non-black channels. And you know who would specialize in making those type of videos, but we ain't got to say their names. So it's quite a few of them out there, but they ain't gonna make no videos about that. So, the best fighter on the planet is Terrence Bud Crawford. Yeah, I said it. A black fighter. Now, for people that's gonna say, "Oh, well, that sounds kind of racist," well, whatever, man. So be it. I'm not going to be apologizing for feeling the way I feel, because if everybody else can be proud of their heritage and their ethnic background, why can't us blacks do it? And if you a black person that try to shame a black person for being proud of being black, basically motherfuck you. Just real talk. Just need to be said. Um, Boots got work to do at 147. Listen, a Terrence Crawford fight is in all likely not going to happen. Terrence Crawford is on his way out. Canelo is 33. Terrence Crawford is going to be 37. Okay. Terrence Crawford is going to be in his late 30s. So Terrence Crawford is looking for some big fights, some big paydays. Terrence Crawford is done with like trying to prove himself. And it doesn't matter. Listen, at this point, does it matter who Terrence Crawford fights? He's not going to get no credit, because the very people that claim to be so pro black power to the people is going to be the very ones that's going to hate on him and dismiss what he does. And that's why I don't pay attention to these dudes that be talking all this super militant stuff, because at the same time, they keep forgetting that they did it with Terrence Crawford. So don't try to talk that pro-black shit, that militant shit, that Hotep shit when you was constantly tearing down a black fighter and Terrence Crawford, all because, for whatever reason, because you saw him as a threat to Errol Spence. Like I said, that's why I fell out with a lot of people. A few people. I don't even want to get deep into that, but I fell out with a few people over that. One dude got mad at me and started like disrespecting me for no reason. No reason. Never did nothing to the nigga. But for some reason, and I had to figure out what it was. Oh, okay, I know what it was. You wanted everybody to be an Errol Spence fun boy. But at the end of the day, eventually it's gonna get settled. It's gonna get settled when we see each other face to face. But it'll get settled. So I'm not doing no talking. I'm not doing no hyperbole. I'm not doing none of that stuff. I'm not doing no predictions. It'll get dealt. It'll get dealt with sooner than later. Not not hypothetically. None of that stuff. Expeditiously, none of that stuff. Eventually, it's gonna get settled one way or another. So there you have it. But what's for Canelo? It's May. Canelo, like I said, Canelo will in all likely. Well, I don't want to go that route, but a lot of people be thinking that, just like a lot of these dudes on here, they will listen. I'm gonna say this again: the LDBC, those are my people. It's funny how you got some people that will sit up there and make these alphabet references to the LDBC, but then every other video they make is about the LDBC. So that's kind of weird, man, when you constantly making videos about people questioning them, but then every other video you make is about them. So, I just seen this going on for years. So, I mean, that's just the bottom line. So, I mean, it is what it is. But I'm just saying, Canelo ain't fighting no David Benavidez next. I already told you he gonna fight it. He gonna fight Edgar Berlanga. Edgar Berlanga don't turn down the fight, and if Edgar Berlanga turned down the fight, he gonna fight Charlo. And then who knows? He may even consider a rematch with Caleb Plant. He fighting Berlanga. He gonna fight Berlanga if Berlanga don't, because this is because he's gonna go back to Eddie Hearn. This PBC contract, if I'm not mistaken, he's a free he can move on from the PBC. From what I heard, he could opt out of this 3-fight deal because they don't have nothing for him. I'm gonna just say this about Ryan Garcia. At this point, I don't believe nothing that comes out of Ryan Garcia's mouth. He's a liar. He's a fake Christian. He's just full of it. He'll say, from this stuff about the devil is the devil and the Matrix and all this kind of stuff. This man got more like you know what I'm saying, tales of what happened to him than anybody I ever seen in my life. So that could be in the cards as well. Well, I mean, that's what Tank do. I mean, Tank ain't really one of us. He showed where his alliance is. He's sitting up caping for some Mexican that basically cheated to beat up another brother. My thing is, I don't know why people hate Devin Haney. I don't understand it. I will never understand this hatred. But like I said, these are the same people that be trying to talk that pro-black stuff. But at the end of the day, what it is, these people, they feel like the internet is their way to be popular and to be famous. So they feel like they will compromise themselves no matter what to get subscribers and views. And that's the damn problem. But you guys, I'll be back with more. Appreciate you guys.